I want to shift back over. As we approach the weekend, let's focus in on the streaming side of our coverage here on Yahoo Finance as we break down in this week's Fame and Fortune, not just the new titles coming to streaming platforms, but also the engagement on those platforms, a very big competitive piece of the streaming landscape. And it's an important piece for Disney, which is going to be rolling out a live action Emma Stone starred Cruella take on the Disney classic. And just want to play a piece of that before we dig into it. Take a listen.
But a new day brings new opportunities. I'm sorry now. And I was ready to make a statement. How does the saying go? I am woman, hear me roar.
All right, so joining us in this Fame and Fortune this week to break it all down for us is Yahoo Finance's Alexandra Canal. And Ali, when we look at it, Cruella is a big bet for Disney because, the live action one's always a little bit of a break from what we think of when it comes to Disney. But what are the expectations around Cruella?
Right. And this seems to be a little different movie overall, right? It's a little darker, a little more adult and sophisticated. The tagline of the film is brilliant, bad, and a little mad. So I'm personally pretty excited to see how this goes for Disney. If we take a look at some of their recent live action films, like Mulan, for example, that was PG-13. So it seems like they're leaning into this more sophisticated versions of their movies. Now, I'm happy that they're focusing on a villain. Normally, their MO is to focus on princesses, but this is going to be a prequel. It's going to dive into the backstory of Cruella, what made her the hardcore fashionista villain that we all know her from in 101 Dalmatians. And if we take a look at some villain-focused prequels from the past, they've actually done very well. Maleficent, which is a Disney film that was released in 2014, it grossed over $750 million at the box office. Outside of Disney, we had Joker, another really successful villain-focused prequel that had over $1 trillion in sales when it was released in 2019. So people really gravitate towards these types of films. A lot of fans on Twitter were talking about this trailer. They were making comparisons between Emma Stone's Cruella and Harley Quinn from the DC comic series that was played by the one and only Margot Robbie. I want to read off a couple tweets from fans. One user writing, quote, honestly, getting more Harley Quinn vibes than Cruella de Vil from the recent Cruella trailer. Another saying, are we absolutely sure Emma Stone's Cruella de Vil and Harley Quinn aren't the same character going through a different style phase? And you can see there, they do look very, very similar. Now, this film is expected to debut May 28th, 2021. So just in time for Memorial Day weekend. I think the expectation here is that it will be released in theaters. The marketing for this film, it did not say exclusively in theaters, but it also did not say that it would be released on Disney Plus. So I think that's something that we'll get a little more clarity on as we get closer. Obviously, Disney had to delay quite a few of their films amid the pandemic. So it's just a wait and see approach right now. When exactly we'll get this film. But it's an all-star cast. Emma Stone, she's an Oscar winner. Emma Thompson's an amazing actress. Glenn Close, who is the OG Cruella de Vil for many of us, she's serving as executive producer. So I think we could potentially get a few Oscar nominations here. I do think we could see a potential Oscar nod for best costumes. It looks like the fashion in here is pretty intense. And so I'm very excited about it. And hopefully we can all be able to enjoy this and watch it on May 28th.
Yeah, Ali, I have to say, I thought the original 101 Dalmatians was pretty dark as well, even as an animation. So we'll see how this one fares. You're also looking at just the amount of growth we have seen in streaming. It feels like every week we're talking about just new numbers out, but you've got the latest updates here in terms of how many hours were actually streamed.
Right. I mean, the growth on video streaming apps, especially on mobile devices, that's increased exponentially over the past few years, but especially in 2020. App Annie, which is a mobile analytics firm, found that on Android devices specifically, total hours spent on streaming apps from Netflix and Disney Plus to YouTube and TikTok hit nearly 1 trillion hours last year. If we take a look specifically at breakout apps, apps that have experienced year-over-year growth, growth. In the US, we're going to see Disney Plus reign supreme. Then Netflix is also having a lot of growth in other global international markets, especially Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil. But when it comes to total time spent, that's not going to Disney Plus or Netflix. You're seeing on your screen now that it's actually going to YouTube. So that short, snackable content is really engaging for consumers. YouTube in the US seeing 23.1 hours per month, increasing levels from 2019. And that's bleeding over into other apps like TikTok. TikTok experienced a 70% growth from 2019, with users spending 21.5 hours per month on the app. So there's still a lot of streaming content to enjoy. I also think that's a reason we're not going to see the streaming wars come down in the energy that we've seen over the past year or so. We have Paramount Plus coming out in March. And the reason for this is because consumers are craving it. And now we have all this data to back it up.
Well, and there's plenty of content out there, right, to continue fueling the growth there. Thanks so much for that, Allie.